Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Universe podcast. I'm your host, James, and joining me this time is Charlie from Charlie Learns Star Wars on TikTok. Hi, Charlie. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I am good. I am good. I have finally got round to watching the first episode of Rebuild the Galaxy and realized I had to stop to put my children to bed so I could then come on this call with you. Thank you very much for joining me, first of all.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
You have been on TikTok for not very long, have you?
Not at all. It's been, I think, about 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks.
Mm.
I
And
I went in a big way.
you
I went,
did, you
right, here's my
did.
chance. As
Yes,
many videos as I can do.
absolutely. And I'm a big fan of the videos. I really, really enjoy them.
Thanks.
I especially like the fact that you're sort of putting yourself out there as a newcomer, but also kind of not a newcomer.
Yeah, I exist in a weird space, and I've always sort of said that I know a lot about Star Wars for not being a Star Wars fan. And so I can talk about quite a lot of Star Wars without actually having done the research myself. And my TikTok then became a thing where I went, "Do you know what? I want to know if I like this. I want to dig into the bits that I'm interested in and see if there are like caveats of it that are good to me or that I find super interesting." And that's basically what I've been doing is going, don't really know the answer to this, or I've just looked into this and this is really cool. And luckily, TikTok has been exceedingly welcoming and has given me a ton of cool things to look into. So I've got a video list of things I want to look into that is a mile long, which is the best problem to have because I've got so much I want to talk about.
Excellent. First off, I'm so glad that you found a section of social media that's welcoming. I know we've kind of discussed this through message and stuff, haven't we? Where the YouTube side of things can be less welcoming, shall we say?
Yeah, yeah, that's fair to say.
Yeah, yeah, a
The
little
fact
bit
I managed
gatekeepery.
one video on, well, I started cross-posting because I was like, actually, I'd quite like to talk to more Star Wars people about this. And once a video kind of finishes on TikTok, it's kind of gone, and
Mm.
then you can't ask those questions again. So actually, I could put these in different places and see what other people have to say about these things, these questions that I'm raising, or these topics that are coming up. And yeah, video one on YouTube within an hour and a half had the meanest comment I'd had thus far. It wasn't that bad, but it was enough that I was like, oh, well, you've rained on my parade.
Yeah, yeah. It's choppy seas over there on YouTube, whereas TikTok is very much feels like a nice calm lake. Um,
Yes. Yeah. And it's so the vibe that I want to. I was really worried because obviously I'm aware of the Star Wars side, the like Star Wars YouTube side of stuff. I thought as soon as I started posting videos on TikTok, I was gonna get like slated because
mm,
why did you not look into it before you did this or something? Like, do you know what I mean? And my early videos are very like caveats, like I know I don't know anything and I know it's okay. And as the time's gone on and I've done more and more videos, I'm kind of a bit more like, is this real? I didn't know this was a thing. And
yeah.
I could be a little bit more like a little bit braver in not having to apologize for not knowing and being able to just enjoy learning what the answer is.
Well, you've grown to feel safer, which is
Yes.
really, really good. And I went about it in the other way. I started with YouTube and transitioned to cross post to TikTok. And I was nervous about going to TikTok because I was like, I don't know if this niche is going to exist. I'm slowly building on YouTube. I know it's going to take a long time, and I'm buying the Star Wars Unlimited cards anyway. So my attitude was I might as well film it and see what happens. And yeah, I must admit I try and do everything in one take. I think I've only ever had to do actual video editing once. Where my tripod died and it just rolled up and showed the rest of the chaos that is my office. And I was like, well, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, the chaos that's around any form of unboxing, unpacking, and whatever. Like literally, because I've been looking at miniatures recently, what you can't see is outside of the field of view right now. It's just chaos. I've got one
Mm,
side that's just a stack of books. I've got one side that's a whole load of Star Wars Unlimited cards. I've got Shatterpoint out at the minute. So my desk is just chaos.
yeah.
Utter chaos.
Yeah. So this is where I work is in this office, and above me I have a shelf of workbooks and trading card binders, and then behind me, which I can show you, but I can't show the audience, there's like that's just some of my stuff. There's the Yoda
How
that I was telling you
many
about.
Grogus do you have?
That's a very good question. How that is actually genuinely a good question. I also have one to unbox and build the Grogu in his pram.
Amazing.
So I basically had to promise my wife that I would only buy Star Wars Lego if it featured someone from Yoda's species.
I like
Um,
I like how she tried to narrow that down.
yeah, yeah, and quickly regretted it because I was like, I can buy the N1 Starfighter because there's a Grogu minifigure. I'm working
And
in the
that's the way
boundaries
to
of
do
what
it.
I have.
Exactly. Stick a little Yoda on the top, it's fine.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
my thing always was I've never my husband's always been a massive collector of anything and everything that's Star Wars related, and Lego is one of them. So if I were to pan round, which I won't because this place is chaos, it is just in front of me a wall of Lego and then a wall of Lego to one side. And my the only thing I've ever said to him about what he can or can't have was you just need to have space. As long as you can find me a shelf, buy what you want.
Yeah, and that it was very much that reasoning why my wife was like, "This is getting silly," because I was looking at the Venator Ultra Collection UCS, and I was just like, I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I want it.
Yeah, the UCSs have got us a couple of times. I remember we looked at one. I can't remember what it specifically was, but I remember the feeling of talking to my husband across this display case in a Lego store where his little face, and he'd wanted this for so long, his little face just dropping, being like, "It's too big, isn't it?" And I was like, "That's for you to decide." And we just couldn't. I honestly I couldn't. We'd have to start doing ceiling space, I
Mm.
think, in order to find more Lego room.
Yeah, yeah. I got to that point at one point. I think I ended up selling, I think it was 27 Star Wars sets, and it hurts me to this day that I had to do it, but I understood why I had to do it.
Yeah.
But
How did
there
you
was
decide which ones went and which ones stayed? Did you have a criteria?
I had to dismantle a whole load, and they ended up in a box. And I tried to start sorting, and I got really stressed and just went, I'm just going to sell the box. Um,
Fair enough.
and I went and found all of the instruction booklets and everything that I
Good.
had, and basically went through and was like, right, you're still out, you're still out, you're still out. All of you aren't. So all of you must be in here. But I had like the early noughties Jabba's palace with the mock sides that they clipped together to create the scene. I had a whole load of miniature ships and stuff. That was really sort of my entry point into this is going to be a thing. But I never got rid of my UCS Yoda. That's always been together, with the one exception of when I annoyed my mum as a teenager and she took his ears as punishment.
I mean, fair play, mum, because
Um,
that's a good punishment because
mm,
nobody gets hurt. You
no,
understand the seriousness of the situation.
looking back, I probably deserved it. I probably deserved a worse punishment.
Yeah, it is a perfectly reasonable, I think. I'm on mum's side on this one.
So am I. So am I now, unfortunately. But that was very much how I got into Star Wars. Obviously, you said that you've sort of been around it, but how did you sort of first really get into it?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of it, I've been around it through my husband for a very long time. So we're on like nearly 15 years worth of, and like when we got together to impress him, I tried to watch all the Star Wars films because I was like, then I can talk to him about stuff. And we bonded over a Star Wars sticker that he had in his car that he set me as a challenge to find out what it was. And I was like, oh, this is great. And we talked about it loads. So it was, although it was never my fandom, it's always been there and it's always been around. And then because we've got so much Lego, my house is more Lego than it is anything else at this stage. So the house is therefore more Star Wars than anything else. So I'm always aware of it. I'm always excited by it. There's always bits that are happening, but it's never felt like my fandom.
Mm.
And the only time that that started to properly change, I think there were 2 points that I identified because when we said we were going to have a conversation, I started going, when was my turning point? And one of them was around the miniatures game Shatterpoint because I talked to people that were involved in the creation of it and what they explained about what they thought about it, what they were trying to do with it, what each section they were trying to mimic, and how cleverly they were doing that. It just like something clicked, and I was like,
Mm.
that's really cool. like that's really cool. I've never thought about it in that level of detail, or I've not thought about how they really try to make these game mechanics, because I come to it mostly from a board game perspective. That's my background. How they made the game mechanics match up with the feeling in Star Wars. And that was a real, this is really cool. I talked about that for weeks afterwards, and then had to do the whole, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but this is really cool. Did you know about this? And then that followed up with the release of Star Wars Unlimited, which is a trading card game. And I was big into Pokemon for a little while, big into Lorcana for a little while. I still adore Lorcana, it's incredible. But you kind of have to pick one because there are trading cards are a time sink and a money sink. Would
Yeah,
pick one.
I'm currently feeling that money sink myself at the moment. I collect and open Star Wars Unlimited on YouTube and TikTok and collect. My son collects Pokemon, so I collect Pokemon from that regard. And my daughter felt left out. And I was like, you know what? There's this little thing called Lorcana. Let's just give it a go.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, she sort of friend of the show, Art. He lives over in America, and he actually sent over like 50 or 60 cards for her on a trade we did recently, and he always sort of sends like a little booster pack for my son as well, which is absolutely incredible.
Aw,
And it's just really sort of that the camaraderie and the generous nature of people in trading card games especially,
yes.
and sort of the welcoming nature of people in board games as well is just absolutely incredible. I took my son to a trading card show near to us. It was quite a small one. I've been to the London Card Show. I wouldn't take him there, it's too busy.
I see,
um
that's interesting because I've got that on my wish list and I haven't decided whether I'm going to go at some point because they're on quite frequently, the London Card Show.
it's 3 or 4 times a year, and
Yeah.
they are only getting bigger. It's an incredible place. It's mainly Pokemon, and Pokemon, then sports cards, then kind of your other TCGs.
Okay.
But the last one I went to, I couldn't find any singles of Star Wars Unlimited at all, which it's pretty new. I get that.
Mm.
And there's only been 5 sets so far, but it's it's just dominated by Pokemon. I did get to see, I can't remember his name, but the guy who sings the Pokemon theme song. He was
Oh
he was
yeah,
he was a guest there, and he
that's cool.
sang a bunch of songs. So I do have a video of him singing the Pokemon theme song, which was incredible, and full on nostalgia. And I showed my son when I got home, and he was just like, "That's incredible! Can I go next time?" And I was like, "No, you're too small," because it just gets really, really busy in there. But I took him to a local one. He's doing a Pokédex at the moment, so one card doesn't matter where from of every 1,025 Pokemon. So, as I said earlier, I'm doing a Pokédex. Um,
Hey, don't
um,
act like you're not as invested.
I am more invested. I went to this card show, and I was just like, do I want to try and do full arts as much as I can? And then I started looking at prices and went, maybe not. Um, but I am also still kind of going, I'm kind of going down the full art route. Um, so yeah, he's happy just to get the cards and fill it out. And I'm sat there going, but we can upgrade them. And we've played a few games of Star Wars Unlimited as well. So I was trying to teach him that game just because it's the one I'm most familiar with and how to play. But yeah, we went to this small card show, and there were people there who were like, "Oh, are you trying to do a Pokédex challenge?" And he was like, "Yeah. I'm really focusing on Generation One at the moment." And they were like, "We have a bunch of 151 bulk. What do you need?" And they just gave him like 40 cards. And I was like, "Can
Amazing.
I give you anything for these?" And they were like, "No." I just felt like it was such a nice thing. But yeah, he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He had such a good time. He keeps asking me when we can go to the next one. I'm like, if I can find one
Oh.
to go to, we will. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. The thing is I totally get it because I collected Pokemon was the one that I spent the most time in and I was collecting more than anything else. And I was adamant I was going to get a full celebration set. I wasn't going to buy it. I was going to in terms of like buy singles, I was just going to collect it. And I ended up with so many packs and so many duplicates and so many anything else. And then one of my best friend's kids started getting into Pokemon, not in like a really young. Some kids in the playground have got it, and I don't have any ways. And I was like,
Mm.
let me give you so many cards. He then knows that he's got something fun, and when he's trading in the playground, it's not a fake. Because I always think
Mm.
that's quite sad, is when a kid goes in with the proper card and they trade it for a fake, but it's not out of malice. It's
No.
because they bought them off Amazon or eBay or something, and they've ended up with a fake with no knowledge that that's the case.
Mm.
So being able, I feel like I'm feeding into the ecosystem by giving away my proper ones that are like,
Yeah,
hopefully this will raise the playground standard that they'll start having their
absolutely.
proper ones.
Absolutely.
How did you get on with Star Wars Unlimited though? Because I tend to pitch Unlimited as much harder to play than Pokemon is.
So we've played 4 or 5 games, and he's actually won 2 of them.
Oh, well
And
done.
yeah, yeah. And I think as a TCG, it's been designed in a really player friendly way,
Yeah,
and it's really easy to play if you just want to play casually.
yeah.
It's also deep enough that you can go with some pretty crazy decks and go into some big chains and things like that.
I think that's why I like it so much. I tend to I like playing for fun. I don't
Yeah.
really I've technically played in competitions, but only in the sense that I've gone to play and there's been a competition and I've been told to sit down and I'm like, okay, cool. Do you want to teach me as we go? Because that's my chaotic vibe to a T. But I enjoy just having a go and just doing bits and bobs. And I don't mind having conversation where it's like, oh, do you really want to do that? Because have you seen that you can do this? Or these sorts of things. I always like that more casual aspect
Mm.
of gameplay. Um, but I feel like Star Wars Limited for me has the strategic difficulty and choices that you can make. You can make so many different choices in every single move that it's a lot of fun, but without being too there's only one move and you've done it wrong.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like casual play is just as easy as competitive play in you just pivot how you want to and you get what you want back out of it, which is always really nice.
Yeah. I also love the fact that they've got so many different formats as well. So you've got, obviously, as you say, casual, which from not the next set, but the one after, the one coming out in March, which name has completely escaped my brain at the moment. But you
I should
have
jump in, but I feel like I've got secrets of power in my head and I cannot think
Secrets.
what the one afterwards is.
That's the one I can't remember. Secrets of Power is next. In fact, I have it on my gallery because I'm that guy. Um, a Lawless Time.
Ah, yes. They're getting good with the names, aren't they? I
Yeah.
wasn't too impressed to begin with, and then we're hitting our stride now.
Yeah. We've then got Ashes of the Empire and Homeworlds, which I'm really looking forward to. I just want to know what it's going to be, and I think that's going to be quite creature heavy.
I am all for the creature. I didn't realize how many creatures I could find in Legends of the Force, and I bought into all of the previous rounds without then opening them, which is great for TikTok because now I've actually got loads of potential content because I accidentally hoarded. But Legends of the Force was the one where I went, right, I need to take a break because I am a parent and I have financial responsibilities and I need to
Mm.
think about what I'm doing. And Legends of the Force has all of the cards that I'm like, they're the ones I want. I'm like, I'm gonna have to cave at some point and get some. But right now, not until I've opened the other ones. I'm gonna start a one-woman mission for Fancy Flight to create me a way of doing a Porg deck. That is my one goal in life. There are two reasons for this. First of all, is that in Lorcana, they have a puppy card that you can have up to 99 copies of. And I had a deck when I was playing Lorcana that was affectionately called I Got 99 Problems, but a pup ain't one. And it was
Nice.
all about being able to cycle through. There was a Bruno card where if you could predict what your next card was going to be, then you got a bonus. But because it was all puppies, you'd always get,
I'm going to
you'd
say a
always know what it was.
puppy.
It was great. I had a great time. So it's possible, right? You can have a really fun deck full of singular characters, and there were different types of puppies. So we could do porgs. I don't mind variations. I can do porgs. Do you know what I mean? I can find other pets.
Yeah.
Porgs, loaf cats. I'm okay with it. And the other reason is that Lorcana put a specific character in. They did the Goofy movie
Hmm.
specifically. I think it was Goofy movie and Darkwing Duck specifically because people asked for it. So they're out there, they're listening to us. I would like a Porg deck Fantasy Flight Games, please, and I am gonna make it happen somehow.
So I'm gonna add into that idea, and I think I may have already said this to you via a comment on TikTok. I want it to have the same mechanics as the multiple TIE fighter tokens
Yes.
from Jump to Lightspeed. There is a legendary card called Scramble Fighters, which I pulled at my pre-release, and I got to use it twice, and it was chaotic because all of a sudden I had a couple of TIE fighters out, and then all of a sudden I've got like 15, and I was just like, this is insane. Or have it as the same
Yes.
mechanic as the Vulture Droid, where you can have 15 of them in your deck. And with the Kanan leader from Legends of the Force, he is very creature centric.
See,
So
I need to buy Legends of the Force. This is also what I'm hearing.
so you've mentioned Porgs a couple of times, and obviously that has been the key focus of your first videos on YouTube, as well as a number of your first videos on TikTok. Are they your favorite character, or do you have another one?
I love the Porgs because they felt like a really soft entry into TikTok for me. And so now I have a soft spot for them. Not least because we had a fluffy toy of it that we bought when The Force Awakens came out that just happened to be around. And he is normally in my background. He is currently, but he takes a bit of a nosedive at any opportunity. So I don't know where the Porg has gone. And then he just reappears sometimes. And I'm like, oh, that's where you went to. So now he's got a whole personality. I'm invested.
Does he have a
But
name?
it's Do you know what? No, he doesn't. How remiss of me. That's really bad. But what makes the Star Wars name?
I
Other
don't
than like
know.
a probably like a fantasy generator that's like all the great
But
writers
the,
are just like, yeah, the
but
D&D generator of names.
yeah, you could use that, or you could go down the main character from the original trilogy and go something really basic and British, like
Oh
Dave
yeah.
Dave the
Luke.
Porg.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. What could I do a Keith?
Keith, yeah, you
I feel like the
absolutely
name
can.
Keith or Gary. It's gotta be maybe feel like it might be more of a Gary.
Gary, I like Gary.
I think we're on Gary. That's really bad of me to have not named him. Shame on me. Anyway, he's got his name now. He's disappeared, but he's got a name. Um, no, he's my they. I've got a full soft spot for porgs because they're very easily lovable, and people on the internet can't hate you for liking porgs.
Yeah,
Um, which is a plus because they can hate you for a lot of other things. Um,
yep.
I think interestingly at the moment, my favorite character from all the bits and bobs that I'm reading or learning or doing and such is actually Obi-Wan, which fully didn't expect. And it's actually a TikTok I've recorded that I need to edit that I'm like, I'm going to log right now in my journey, like what, 6 weeks in, 5 weeks in, Obi-Wan's my favorite. In a month's time, I'm going to check back in and we'll see if that's still the same. But the mixture of like a bit of sass, quite a good bit of responsibility, a nice guy, I was like, I quite like you. You're all
Space
right.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fine. It's
I
all
love.
good.
There's a meme out there that first came out many years ago, before they were even called memes, of someone replaced their grandmother's picture of Jesus with a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi from
I know
episode 2.
exactly what you're talking about.
It's it's stayed with me forever. And obviously there's the hello there, which I do at the
Yeah,
beginning of all episodes. He's just iconic, isn't
yeah,
he? And
100%.
when you eventually get around to watching the Clone Wars, he's so British. Like he's so dry and sarcastic and just so fed up of Anakin's nonsense.
And do you know what? I think that's probably why I like him. Like of the bits that I've seen, because it's very scatty. Because I've seen a lot of it, but I've not applied any context to anything. So
Mm.
I just get random bits that I remember, but they're not important or they are. And just him not putting up with nonsense, I really appreciate. Because like I've watched Phantom Menace so far, and Qui-Gon actually annoyed me a little bit. And I had a conversation with my husband about it afterwards. He was like, good luck admitting that on the internet. But I was like, it
Oh
just doesn't
yeah,
seem very nice.
he is somewhat beloved.
But as a parent, I watch it and I'm like, you need to give mum a little bit more space here, dude. Like,
Mm.
have a little bit of consideration for the fact of what you're manipulating for her child and then not telling her that you're doing it. And
Mm.
then how was treating Obi-Wan with this sort of he was like, there was literally a line where he was like, you need to respect the council's decision. And Obi-Wan had to sort of go, I'm really sorry for questioning you. I didn't mean to. And you're like, oh, babe, it's okay. Because he's going to go on and question the council in about 30 seconds. So you're okay.
I
Ah,
think
I was so annoyed.
I think that moment, I know exactly the moment you're talking about. I think it's that moment of you need to let me be the troublemaker. We are on the same wavelength. Let them try and punish me. They can punish you. I
Yeah,
think
but
so.
then
So there's an
two
element of
frames later, he's
protection.
like, off on your own because I want the new shiny toy.
Yeah, yeah. I I love Qui-Gon, but that's mainly because it's Liam Neeson in Star Wars.
And
Um,
I do love Liam Neeson, and I was prepared. I went in with a loving mind, and I was just a bit like, nah, fam.
yeah, yeah. Like you are somewhat problematic in your technique of teacher, but he's also all about the living force and not the and the cosmic force as well.
Yeah,
He's
and I think I sort of in the TikTok that I've done talking about the problems I have, I've almost ended it with like a, what am I missing here?
mm,
Like, there's got to be something in extended universe, in legends, in canon, in something that gives additional context because he is like in what, three-quarters of the film and then never seen again, but totally loved.
mm,
So,
mm,
well,
mm.
ghosty, I get it, but there's not like he's not a real tangible character to know and to love.
Yeah,
So there's got to be more stories. There's got to be more that gives background or credence to why he is how he is. And everyone goes, oh, he's like exactly as you did. He's the epitome of the living force. He was able to achieve Force Ghost. He taught the rest of them how to do Force Ghost because he was the one that was most in tune with it. All fine. That's not in the films though.
no, it's not. And
So we need to dig for that further.
there is a moment in episode two, which is almost a what's a blink and you'll miss it, but for your ears. Um,
I
it's
don't know,
one
but
of
that's a
those.
great way of explaining it.
Yeah, of when. How familiar are you with Attack of the Clones?
Not at all. I
Okay,
remember it being the hardest one to get through, and that is my next one. So I'm most nervous about getting through it.
okay. There's a moment where Anakin gets cross, and I'm sure
What?
everyone.
Shocker.
I know, and anyone who listens to this will know the scene because I've just put it quite lightly. And if you listen to the background audio, you can hear Liam Neeson, who came back and recorded additional lines calling to him from the Force.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
so there is a little bit there of him succeeding in living on. There is also a moment in Revenge of the Sith where they talk about it, and Yoda says, "More training for you, I have." With your old master, and he teaches Obi-Wan to then speak to Qui-Gon. That's explored a little bit more in Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV series.
Yeah.
In the visual media, it's scattered and it's quite hard to pick out. Like I think I was probably on my fifth or sixth watch of Attack of the Clones before I was like, "There's a voice there," and going back and putting the subtitles on. If I'm perfectly honest, going, I can't hear what it is. But yeah, and then seeing it, and you're like, "Oh my god, it's Qui-Gon." So people also love the lineage, the Jedi lineage of Qui-Gon, especially with the introduction and beloved nature of Ahsoka. So I don't know how much are you aware of the lineage side of things, the Master
Not
Padawan.
not masses, bits and bobs, and errant facts here and there. But if there's anything overly significant, then fill me in. I'm all in.
So I'll start low. Or modern. Low was a weird way to phrase that. Um, so
Suddenly,
you
your
got
feelings of Disney are made so clear.
yeah. We have Ahsoka, whose master is Anakin, whose master is Obi-Wan, whose master is Qui-Gon, whose master is Dooku, whose master is Yoda.
Yes.
So,
It would have taken me a minute to remember each one of those, but I do know those.
yes. So, yeah, that's kind of his lineage. And if you want a relatively quick animated show, Tales of the Jedi, it's 6 episodes split into two, three story arcs, three with Ahsoka, three with Dooku. It shows Dooku whilst he's training Qui Gon, and it is phenomenal. It's the
Yeah.
same animation style as Clone Wars, and you get to see Dooku's Jedi lightsaber, which is cool. You get to see Qui-Gon as a Padawan being very Obi-Wan in episode one.
Ooh,
So he's a bit sassier. He's a bit more outspoken. He's just a lot younger, and it all of that sort of stuff visually is shown, and a lot of it is retcon, which they love a little retcon in Star Wars. But you have this, you have a few different books now that are in canon as well. You got Master and Apprentice, you've got Padawan, which focuses on Obi-Wan. Haven't actually read it yet, but that's Obi-Wan as a Padawan. You have The Living Force, which by John Jackson Miller, phenomenal book, out from the back end of last year.
nice.
And there's a few others as well where Qui-Gon sort of pops up, and he's just a mischief maker. He is a little bit chaotic, and I think people like that. They like the cheeky little Jedi sort of thing he has going on. And he just causes the council problems. It's just fantastic.
See, that's the thing, though. It's sort of almost what I'm struggling with Star Wars, with coming into Star Wars with, is that sounds great.
Mm,
I love the sound of that. I want to know all about that. I want to dig into that. And then he sounds like a character that is like has dimensions and has intrigue and has all of these things. But if I only watch the films, and there are going to be like more will come out from the films, but everyone says start with the films. You absolutely have to start with the films, and the only argument is whether you start with the prequels or the original trilogy.
yeah.
That's the only options you've got, and it's like, yeah, but there's so much more story, and I'm missing all of that story by doing it here. But it's so hard to know where else to look because there's such a wealth of information everywhere. I mean, even I read the Ahsoka book just because I picked it up and I was excited about it, and I was like, "Do you know what? Let's give it a go." I haven't read anything for ages. I demolished it. I thought it was great. I really genuinely loved it. Don't know anything about Ahsoka really, other than a couple of clips that I've seen of bits and bobs. But then that is it Tales of the Jedi? Have I got that right?
Yes.
That's with Ahsoka. But that and I've not seen it, but I'm aware that is mostly a retelling of the book that I read, but different.
So
So they change things.
there's the key moment in the book, and that
Yeah.
is retold in Tales of the Jedi slightly differently.
Yes.
It's yeah, and that comes back to under the old expanded universe banner, they used to have a hierarchy of canon, which is films at the top,
Yeah.
then any TV show, then books, then comics, then games. And George would always have, say that like I know him, Mr.
It did
Lucas.
sound very casual with that. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. George mentioned over breakfast one morning.
yes,
Let's
over crumpets. Um, yeah, Mr. Lucas would always reserve the right to override anything in the expanded universe. And when it got sold to Disney, they basically went, right, everything's canon. And they can kind of get away with retelling things slightly differently because they've always got that classic Obi-Wan Kenobi line of from a certain point of view.
and that's what it was, because when I Googled it to see, it was all there was a lot of defense of no, no, it is still canon because it came out after Disney bought them. So it
Hmm.
should have been Disney canon regardless. And a lot of no, 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 it is still canon. It's just a different point of view. And
Hmm.
you're like, yeah, but it's centered around Ahsoka. It's Ahsoka's point of view.
Yeah.
That should be relatively consistent. But that, I mean, even like sort of by the by on what they decide to keep or don't, it means it's a minefield.
Yeah.
Because even I picked up a book that was published in Disney canon and thought I was safe doing that. And that is still incorrect. That was not incorrect, but you know what I mean?
It's
I'm still
tweaked.
not there. I've still not got all of the information.
Hmm.
And I approaching it as a newbie, looking at Qui-Gon, there's the list of books. There's the Master and the Apprentice I've been eyeing. I think it's that one, isn't it? That I've been eyeing already. So I'm a little bit like I might get that one just to see what's going on. But where do you start, and then how do you prioritize? Because I've only got so much time in the world. It's like where do I start to get the best of everything and not go in not knowing something that I'm not going on the internet and saying I don't like Qui-Gon when actually if I read Master and the Apprentice, he would be my favorite character. Like
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm missing some of the info.
No, absolutely. And I think first and foremost, it goes almost should go without saying, but it often needs saying. There's no right or wrong way to consume Star Wars, and I would always recommend watch the films and see what you like out of them. And then if you like the original trilogy as a trilogy, I would recommend, and you want to get into books, I would say go and read Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. It is a retelling of the original trilogy from regular people's perspective. And
Ooh.
it's two childhood friends. One ends up on the side of the rebels, one ends up on in the Empire. And they kind of come together and go apart throughout the events. And it's a phenomenal book. I will actually say I dropped out of consuming books, Star Wars books, for a few years. I think I just burnt out a little bit trying to read all the legends, and then it got sold to Disney, and none of it was canon anymore, and I got annoyed basically. And I went, "Oh,
Understandably.
I'm done with this." And they, my wife wanted to get me a book for my birthday, it might have been, or Christmas, and she went to a friend of mine who is a big Star Wars books fan and went, "What should I get him?" And he just went, "Get him Lost Stars." And that book pulled me in to reading Star Wars again. I demolished it over the course of like 4 days. I don't read that fast, and the fact that I have to listen to Audible now, I don't read at all anymore. But it was such an amazing story, and it just reminded me why I loved this universe. So that would always be my recommendation if you want to get into the book side of things and you like the original trilogy. If you like the prequels, Brotherhood is an amazing book set between episodes one and two, but like quite close to two, focusing around Anakin and Obi-Wan. If you like episode one, Master and Apprentice, or The Living Force, is set just before. If you like episode three, you've got the Clone Wars. You've got actually for episode three, I would recommend reading the Revenge of the Sith novelization.
I've heard this recommendation a couple of times.
It's it's technically no longer canon, but because it's an adaptation of the film, it still kind of is. And they're doing a special release later this year, which looks stunningly beautiful. I think it is exclusive to the US though, which is annoying.
Oh,
But
they've got to stop doing
I
that.
know they need to sort out their licensing stuff worldwide. But the episode three novelization, it gives you a voice inside R2's head, and it expands on moments like Vader getting his name. And it's just
Ooh.
so cool. Yeah. And there's what to recommend if you like the sequel trilogy. I'm not a huge fan of the sequel trilogy as a trilogy. And I know you're not going to like this. I don't like Poe Dameron.
I don't like how they handled Poe Dameron. I like Poe Dameron as a character.
I don't like Oscar Isaac. So
Ah,
it's
okay, now I'm out.
it's one of those things of I saw him in lots of different things very quickly, and I didn't like him in any of them, and it just
Oh.
kind of got to a point of like, I think you're the problem. Um,
I don't think I've seen him in basically anything else.
he
I'm
was
not a
in
film watcher, to be fair. Like
okay,
I'm really bad for it. Like I have really bad attention span. So forcing myself to sit and watch a film is a very like it's an effort. Like I have
yeah,
to really commit to it. So basically the only things I've seen at the cinemas in the last 20 years were what my husband dragged me along to, and that was usually Star Wars.
yeah,
So that's most of it forces my attention into something and then I can
yeah,
sit and focus on it, which is why I loved The Force Awakens. I thought that was great. The other two not so much. But in Force Awakens the character we get being able to like focus into who those people are in a like really vivid way because it's a big screen and it's loud noises and you can't sit on your phone or get distracted and go and get a drink or whatever else you have to pay attention. So I really like that out of it. I think that's one of the reasons I like Poe. But we've got a handsome cat. He needed a handsome name, so he became Poe Dameron.
I love the fact that you've named your cat Poe Dameron, and my dislike of Poe Dameron has nothing to do with your cat. I love
Well,
cats.
otherwise he'd be in here in a moment being like, "Excuse me, I am a great cat." I mean, the other cat we've got is
Meow,
Dash
sir.
Rendar, but he has only just been made canon again. So he had a period of being a legend.
Hmm.
He's back in canon, so we're okay. that's a deep
Awesome.
dive for later because I was like, I know just enough about Dash Rendar to be able to have a cat called Dash Rendar. But now I'm actually looking into Star Wars. I'm like, oh no, I should probably understand this better. Yeah, it's on the to-do list.
Yeah. Dash Rendar is actually a character I'm not particularly familiar with myself because he was from a video game. But
Yes.
yeah, it's
Yeah, the overview I give people when I used to get asked about it when we first got him was he's Han Solo when Han Solo's in Carbonite.
yeah,
Like we need
basically.
that character, but we've stuck him in Carbonite, so how do we do it? We just do another one with a new name. Yay, here he
I'm
is.
in a very similar ship. Um, but yeah, there is a whole host of things that people can recommend. Like if your favorite character is Vader, I would automatically say read the Darth Vader comic books. It's if you like comics, obviously that's a big caveat of how do you want to consume media. That's a key piece of information
Yeah,
to be
I
able
I
to
struggle
recommend.
with comics, which is a shame. I love them as a medium. I love them as like I appreciate them as art, and I love that. But reading them, I find so hard. Like
Mm,
I just I kind of almost my brain almost wants one or the other. I want to
yeah.
be reading or I want to be looking at pictures. I can't. Both of them is a disjoint in my head, so I can't necessarily do it. But I think the logic of finding what you're interested in is more key than I realized because I'm
Mm,
going through all this stuff and I'm finding it absolutely fascinating. And I'm realizing that, and this is no disparagement to my husband whatsoever, but he's very into like the Sith side of things and Darth Vader and their rebellion and not the rebellion, everything going wrong, the
yeah.
Empire. That's what he loves and that's what he dives into. And when I've been looking into it myself, I'm like, oh no, I love the Jedi stuff. I never realized that would be what I had an interest in, that the Force as an entity I find really
Mm,
fascinating and how that manifests in different things and how it works and different powers and all that sort of thing, which isn't something that overly appeals to him. He likes it, but that's not his passion. I'm like, is this why I've never dived into it? Because I've been exposed most
yeah.
to the big grey steel of Lego. It's just looking at me everywhere rather than the shiny green laser sword, which apparently is my vibe. Who knew?
Who knew? And then we get in with Ray, we get a yellow one officially in canon.
Yeah,
I think Clone Wars came first, which the Temple Guards lightsabers are yellow. My jam in Star Wars is absolutely the like mythical lore
yeah,
of. So I love the Jedi and the Sith, but I love the mythical side of it. So they're doing some stuff in Ahsoka, which is, and they do it in Clone Wars. They introduce it in Clone Wars, which is pulling on some stuff they set up in the expanded universe, which I'm currently doing a mini series on. Fate of the Jedi, which is right towards the end of the expanded universe, and they introduce a character called Abeloth, who is also known as the Mother, which is quite cool. I'm now reading and consuming new Star Wars at where I'm at in the 9 book series. So I'm learning as I go as well. And I'm talking to a friend of mine who is intimately familiar with this series. So I'm really looking forward to that next recording. In the Clone Wars, they do in the middle of season 3, they do something called the Mortis arc. And if you like the mythical side of the Force, I would say take 60 minutes and go and watch those 3 episodes. It tells you where the Force comes from, who are the actual deities of the Force, and they introduce it as well in Rebels season 4 as well. I've watched that 3 episode arc 4 or 5 times. It's got Obi-Wan, it's got Anakin, it's got Ahsoka. You get all the good stuff, and it's also
amazing.
introduces these 3 characters who are represented in Legends of the Force, Star Wars Unlimited, as well in card form, called the Father, the Son, and the Daughter. And I won't go into too much detail with it because they're just incredible. But they play a huge part in Ahsoka, the TV show as well. So
Ooh.
we're drawing in more and more mythical elements in certain shows. Like it would have felt out of place in Andor, but you have people within Star Wars who's like, oh, I want to do something in Star Wars. Where do I start? And they just go Andor or A New Hope. You have to start there. And it's no, you. That's your jam.
Yeah,
You need to ask a few extra questions. Is the point there?
yeah, it's why I waited because really I could have like video one could have been right. I'm going to sit down and watch one of the Star Wars films, and I kind of waited a bit longer, and I kept getting a couple of comments being like, "Are you actually going to watch the films at some point?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm a parent. I'll get to it when I've actually got like 2 hours spare.
Yeah.
Who does that? But the logic of it for me was that I knew I wanted to do the films first, but the order with which I do the films isn't set.
Hmm.
And what I was finding, the longer I waited to actually sit down and watch it, the more I was finding I was interested in different pockets and different things. And I almost didn't want to be shoehorned by the films
Mm.
into you have to see it this way and this is what is happening and this is your one story when it felt so sprawling and reaching and things. And that's why I really want to watch the Clone Wars. Clone Wars and Rebels appear to be every time I'm like, oh, I want to dive more into this. Clone Wars and Rebels is always what comes up. So I want to get through enough to be able to watch those. But I've not stopped myself with books.
Mm.
And I've I've not read many, I'll be honest, because again, time is half the issue. I'm halfway through Dark Disciple, and that's quite cool. That's a bit different to what I expected, and I like all sorts. But I've bought books on like Padme Amidala, got Thrawn, who I didn't know existed particularly until this sort of thing, and I like that there is an element, and I'm also if I don't like it, I won't read it. Like life's too short for bad books, so I'm
Fair.
going to try and get through. And if I don't like them, I won't read them. But that means that I'm almost sort of able to carve out a path that makes more sense to me. And ultimately, yeah, I'm just going to watch the films in order, which is apparently what I ended up doing. But I that was the path that I then chose based on having a I gave myself a foundation of being excited about Star Wars before I started, and I think
Mm.
that helped too because I liked a Phantom Menace. There's a couple of flaws. It's not a like 10 out of 10 film. I enjoyed it, but there's a couple of issues,
Yeah.
and I'm more inclined to overlook them when I'm excited about the world already, and that makes it easier to then have that foundation, and then find the cool stuff in the pockets elsewhere.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And there are, so I would avoid looking at sort of like breakdowns of things on online, if just in case you ever do stuff like that. I know I end up doom scrolling and end up like, where am I on the algorithm or the YouTube rabbit hole? I'm learning about pyramids, and I started off looking at Star Wars, um, something like that. But there's a lot of fun theories out there, which a persisting one actually made its way into the first Rebuild the Galaxy,
Oh, go
which
on, what's that one?
is Darth Jar Jar.
Oh, yes. I literally in my notes app for things because I kept hearing things about Darth Jar Jar and I was like, what is that? I need to Google what this actually is.
It's it's wonderful. It's someone has taken their time to build this out as a theory, presented it to the Star Wars fandom, and almost as one, we went, yeah, we'll buy that. I love that. So you can get a lot of some brilliant takes like that, some interesting takes where you're just like, you're reaching here, for a variety of not great reasons. You'll see a lot about Ray, for example, being somewhat of a
Ray being a
Mary
Mary
Sue.
Sue.
Yes.
I've seen
Um,
so many and I'm like, come on.
yeah. But how could she do this? Like, how could Luke survive against Vader in
Yeah,
Cloud
there's some
City?
of the stuff that comes up and it's like, but she was untrained and I'm like, weren't they all? Like
Yeah.
that's half the point.
Yeah.
I've just watched Anakin get himself in a little like souped up pod racer, fly into space and destroy the entire thing, the entire Trade Federation ship, and then fly back home happily, and then all of a sudden he's off to learn to be a Jedi. Like he has no training.
Yep.
What? What?
Yep. And
Honestly.
there's a lot of bad takes out there. So I think it's one of those I think it's quite important if you watch if you decided to watch the films first or read some books and then watch the films secondary, whatever you decide to do, consume the thing, decide what you like about the thing, and then just follow that. It will take you around the galaxy and the fandom and the universe and all the rest of it. And you'll go off on tangents. Like I sat down, I had people recommending Rebels to me for years before I actually sat down and watched it. Mainly because I didn't initially like the animation style.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
Mm.
We I watched something. I think my husband had on the Clone Wars film,
Oh,
and I was like, it looks like a PlayStation 1 cutscene. I
mm,
was like, I can't get past that. It looks like a PlayStation 1. He was like, it gets better. And I was like, yeah, but right now, it looks like a
yeah.
PlayStation 1 cutscene. And I can't get past that.
And I watched season one of the Clone Wars as well, and I just went, "This is such a kid show. I can't do it." And you almost have to allow it to grow up because it obviously grew up with the children watching it. And Rebels was the same. Animation style took a little bit of time getting used to. I was in my nothing's canon anymore, and I don't like it. Strop basically, and I was like, I don't know who these Inquisitors are. Don't like them. Why are there more dark side users? Blah 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 blah. And I was just like, nah, EU. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm happy. And then I sat down and watched it, and I was like, hmm, there's some pretty cool creatures here. There's a Star Wars Aladdin type story here. You've got a pretty cool Jedi in Kanan. You've got Chopper, who is a homicidal maniac, and I kind of like it.
I can't wait to find out why everyone tags their videos with Choppers in as Chopper as a war criminal.
Oh, he is. Yeah,
Like, what?
yeah, yeah. A lot of people think like R2 likes the violence a bit too much. Chopper would literally say, "Hold my beer." Like the stuff that droid does in Rebels is eye-opening, and you kind of, as an adult, you're sat there just going, um, there are rules to war.
Well, I
But
look forward to watching that.
yeah, it's good. It's good fun. And I think I might have commented this previously, but he's listed in the credits on Rebels as Chopper as himself. But it's actually Dave Filoni. And Dave Filoni reprises it in Ahsoka, and it's still
Amazing.
credited as Chopper as himself. Just a running joke at this point in time.
I
Um,
love that.
but it's brilliant, and you'll work your way around, and you kind of, if you like A New Hope, you'll probably watch Rogue One, which will then lead you into Andor, and you get characters which sort of pop up. If you like troopers in Rogue One, there's Death Troopers, and they start popping up in later sort of animation stuff like the Bad Batch, which can then lead you into the clones and the Clone Wars, and so it's this wonderful web of storytelling that you pluck one string, and one 6 miles away you'll go, what's that?
Do you know what though? It makes me laugh because that's exactly been my experience. Like thus far, is that like I talked about scary Star Wars, and then I was told about the is it Project Nightwing? Is it that one? Where it's the zombies. They do the
Mm,
experiment and then they end up basically with zombie troopers and then they get honored by the Death Trooper name, but actually the origin is thing. And I was like, I didn't know Star Wars had horror. And
yeah.
then it's like they just kept coming up with, I didn't know Star Wars had blah blah blah. And then I asked the question on because basically I wanted to play a game and I wanted to, when you just have an evening where you go, I just want to switch my brain off. I want to play a video game where I haven't got to think. And Slay the Spire is usually mine. But I was like, I'm just looking for like a little cozy game, just something quiet and chill, and I don't really have to brain to do it. And it was the most sort of pushback I got from anything because I asked my husband and he didn't know of one, so I asked on TikTok, and I said, "What's a Star Wars cozy game?" And I got so many people coming back and being like, it's Star Wars. You're not going to get a cozy game when there's wars. And I had to stop myself because I kept going back and being like, it's a big galaxy. There's a lot going on across a long period of time. You're telling me no one's opening a single coffee shop in that time?
Yeah.
But it was the thing that surprised me more than anything, more than people going, no, there isn't one, which is fine. That's a full sentence. Was the no, it's about war. And I'm like, you've got something for everything
Yeah.
except for cozy games. I don't think I'm asking, not even asking too much. I'm not asking too much, but I don't think I'm looking for anything that is unusual to look for when
No.
Star Wars is as wide reaching and now covers so many different tenants and has a big kid following fandom. Like parts of it were made for children. Obviously, parts of it weren't. Don't be showing them Andor, but a
No.
lot of it was. So it's always strange to me when Star Wars tries to when some fans try to clamp down on it being very insular when it's so big.
Yeah,
It doesn't make
like
sense to me.
you can't stop it. Like you've got romance novels, you've got first person shooters, you've got third person RPGs, you've got horror in it, you've got biblical epics, which I think the Dawn of the Jedi film is going to be our first movie showing that. But you've got elements of biblical epics throughout the Force mythology and stuff. You've got sports games. You had a Star Wars pod racer back in the day, which was ridiculous because of the giant bubble heads, but I loved every moment of it. You've got the bounty hunter games. You've got the Clone Wars. So you've got the large scale sort of action strategy stuff. Yeah, and I think like there probably is like a Star Wars pinball out there, which is probably as close to do the paddles. And if the ball is a Death Star, that's cool. Uh, just popped into my head there. But I really like that sort of street level view of Star Wars as well. And I know obviously my recommendation on that video you made was Dex's Diner, where you just sort of make some food and serve the customers, and it's a bit
That's all
bit
I want.
repetitive. Just turn your brain off, but you can also then like Obi-Wan will appear and he'll need some information, and you can then go
Yeah.
on a little side quest to do it.
I
Uh,
would I would also put the Eddie Izzard sketch in that Darth Vader comes in and gets annoyed that the tray is wet. Like
yeah,
stupid little in jokes that like if you actually read the speech bubbles, there's a funny joke in there or there's a insider knowledge in there or something. Like I would totally go for that. Doesn't need to be big. I'm not asking much. I just want like it could be a little mobile game.
yeah.
Baffles me it doesn't exist. The closest I got was that there was apparently a Sims expansion for Star Wars
Ooh.
which I didn't know about. And then I was too cheapskate to actually buy it, but I did look at it.
Look, the Star Wars game I use to turn my brain off is Galaxy of Heroes, which is just it's like a character collection, and you battle 3 on 3 or 5 on 5, and sometimes you get to a point where you just hit auto and just walk away. Um, but it's you log in 2 or 3 times a day, collect your energy, do the thing, and then you just grind and build up, and that's just a nice little time killer.
Yeah,
But that's probably the closest I've ever come to finding sort of it's not really a cozy game because you do have to sit there and grind some days. But yeah, it is good fun, and you have sort of a hierarchy of characters that you can get. I've been playing it for over 5 years now, so it's pretty much every day as well.
nice.
So yeah, it's
But that's the
it's
thing, it becomes routine. It's nice, it's familiar, it's comforting. I think that's more what it is. Like I turned the PlayStation on and I scrolled through the Star Wars games and was like, all of these are shooters. And I love a shooter, don't get me wrong. There are times when that's my jam, but it's not all the time.
yeah,
I think it just I think it surprises me now that Star Wars is bigger than ever
mm,
and so much more welcoming than it has been in the past, and bringing in new generations of kids, like bringing in. But anyone that goes to the parks in Disney World will you can't walk out of there not impressed. Like it's
yeah.
not possible. And that level of like, oh yeah, no, I can enjoy this bit. It's like this is a really easy win. Loads of other franchises have been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Of all the things that Star Wars aren't doing when they're doing 50 billion things, where's
And
my cozy game?
you, but you could almost have like a Nintendogs type game with the
This
Loft
was my
Cats.
pitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was like, I just want Nintendogs, but with Porgs and with the Loaf Kittens, because the Loaf Kittens are a really cute thing. I'm
yeah,
all over that. Like that was all I wanted. I just want a little bit of Nintendogs. I want to be able to fuss the Loaf Kitten.
yeah.
I want to roll them around because they can't use their legs because they're that cute. Like, that's all I'm after.
It's a fantastic idea, and one of the things I really love about your TikTok channel is you just throw that stuff out there, and the community which is on TikTok and is sort of drawn to your content just come up with ideas. and
Yeah,
just spitball, and it just escalates, and you're just like, I've sat there and I'll always click into the comments. I'm like, yeah, this is the good
it's good
stuff.
comments, right? Do you
Yeah,
know what, that's 110% what I enjoy the most about it is the people that I'm nattering to. And there are
yeah,
so many that will just DM me because they want to talk about something specific. And part of me is a bit like, I really wish this were a public conversation because
yeah.
I think other people would enjoy this too. But I will say one of my favorite comments, well, I've got many, many favorite comments, but one of them, as a board gamer, I don't know if you know, there's a board game called Everdell, and that is one of the epitomes of cozy games. It's very chill. It has a beautiful, like a tree that assembles, and it's a deck builder style, well, a tableau building style game. But it has meeples, and they're all animal shaped. And basically, you're little tiny creatures that are going to settle the village ahead of the um, from Everfrost to Bellsong, you assemble the village and all this stuff. I loved it, right? It was great. And that was what got me onto this cozy channel, cozy thought, was because I was asking about what people would reskin of board games, because that's my, or what game people would make. Because my husband had been like, if I was going to make a Star Wars game, and I was like, "Ah, this sounds like content." But he said I'd do a Star Wars Everdell, and I was like, that is the greatest thing I've heard in my life.
Mm.
And I couldn't, and I sat there and I tried to think of more, and I looked across my extensive board game collection and was going, what would I Star Wars? And I couldn't think of anything that did it right.
Mm.
And in that one comment, he totally like altered my brain chemistry on this is the best idea I've ever heard.
That sounds awesome because you get obviously like the board game, but like Monopoly board game. You have the Star Wars versions of that. They did Risk.
Yeah.
They did a Clone Wars Risk.
So I will say, because this is my area of expertise,
Mm.
Star Wars in tabletop is incredible. And there's a few what I call I'm harsh, but I call the cash-ins, which are
Hmm.
the ones that are reskinning existing games to have Star Wars versions on. And a lot of them just re-franchise different what they get the license for, they then create a version of it. That's absolutely fine. Some of them are great. I love Dobble, but Dobble is guilty of it. It will just reskin for a different
Yeah.
whatever it is. And yeah, I'll buy them every time. So who's the sucker here? But the games that are on tabletop are incredible, absolutely incredible, and they vary massively. So you have ones like Rebellion, which I mean, it took us 3 hours to set up, past the point of me being okay with it, because I am a short gamer. I like my games quick and fun and like party-esque, but a little bit more depth. But it is the most incredible board game ever. So when you do actually get into play it, it's incredible. And you have these huge ranges. So they've just done The Mandalorian, one of the Mandalorian books, and that is like a campaign book. So you literally have a spiral bound book that you lay flat, and that is your map. And you have your characters, and you're trying to achieve goals across that, and different things happen, and you need to use your resources correctly to be able to do it. And then once that's done, and once you succeed in a way that you're happy with, you flip the next page and you're on another map, and then you
Nice.
carry on going through it. That is beautifully done. Like it is so good. And but they go all the way to the other end. So have you ever played the Villainous games? Have you seen the Villainous
I've
games?
seen them. I haven't played them.
So they're Ravensburger's big movement into well, it was one of their first really successful hobby tabletop games was Villainous, which is an asymmetric game that tells the story of the Disney villains and what they're trying to achieve, and you're playing as those trying to get what you want. So if you're Prince John, you're trying to earn enough money, and etc. etc. And if they then did Star Wars versions, so you're Grievous, but you're trying to collect lightsabers, and it's
Nice.
just a really they you look at, but some people look at them and think kids games, and they're not. But
Mm.
they're strategic enough. You've got to think about it. You can't just coast. You have actually got to think and work strategically, but also friendly enough that if someone goes, I want to play a board game, and you're like, are you going to take it seriously? And they're like, yeah. You're like, okay, well, this is a good entry point for you.
Mm.
And those are Star Wars games are incredible. So you've got this full spectrum of starting at the beginning, you've got like your reskins, your timelines, your doubles, your whatever else. You go a bit further into the villainous, and then you end up right on the other end of the spectrum of the like 12-hour monstrosity that is Rebellion. Ugh, I will never get that time back. It was great. It was wonderful. I could appreciate the game design, even if I will never get those hours back. but it's so well represented, and generally because it's such a loved license, it's looked after. So they put the best designers on it. You
Yeah.
don't get many Star Wars games in tabletop that flop. And that's part of the reason we get your Shatterpoint, Legion, your Armada, all the your Unlimited, because they pour the time into trying to make it work. Doesn't always work. There have been some real failures in trading card games for Star Wars previously, and a couple of bits, but modern, I would say, in the last 10 years, Star Wars on tabletop has been at its finest.
Yeah. No, I would, from a trading card perspective, I would completely agree. Having seen the collectible card game and the original Star Wars TCG, I collected them when they were, I collected the TCG more than the CCG, but it's, I just look at it and just go, this isn't easy to figure out. And
Yeah,
the rule book was pretty hefty. And it was all one language, so not quite often it's like reprinted in multiple languages, and you're like, "That's why it's hefty." No, no, this was all in English, and I was like, "No, no, I
no,
can't." Yeah. Whereas Unlimited came out, and it was like, "This is how you play," and
yeah.
here is a two-player starter set, and here is a the first set.
And you
Go.
know what? I will be completely honest, for a modern TCG, I thought they didn't simplify it enough for the
Oh, really?
first couple of sets. Yeah, having been able to experience a lot of TCGs from their taking off, not I didn't keep with many of them, but having
Mm.
experienced the takeoff, I think they could have done a lot more. And it's interesting. So I don't know if you've seen, they're now doing a, what is it? Battle intro to Hoth? Battle to
Yeah.
Hoth? Something
Intro to
about Hoth.
Hoth.
Intro to Hoth, which is their board game in inverted commas version of the trading card game. So you unbox it, you end up with a board. It gives you pre-built decks. You are given instructions and they tell you exactly what you need to play and why you're playing it. And it is entirely off the back, I would say. I say this like I know. I don't know, but my argument would be this is because Pokemon Battle Academy did it,
Mm.
and they did it flawlessly. That was incredible. That you cannot play that and not know how to play Pokemon by the end of it.
Yeah.
Stunning scenes. And it also bought shelf space in mass. So that could go into Smiths, whereas your
Mm.
starter decks could go into Smiths and no one's going to pick them up. If you're like, hey, it's a Pokemon board game, and that's how they marketed it. They marketed it as a board game. It's not a board game. It's
It's the
it's just a
TCG.
trading card. It's the trading card game with a board. There's not
Instead
a
of a
board game
playmat, you've
mechanic.
got a board.
Exactly. But Star Wars have done the same. All of them do it eventually.
Mm.
Lorcana had their own version, and like all of the ones that want to go into mass retail need to do that kind of product. And they've just brought that out. And I almost wish they'd done that earlier
Okay.
and got people in then, because there is an element with what I find with when you know TCGs and you're confident with them, you can pick up that Star Wars Unlimited rulebook, find it really easy to digest because you go, oh, that's like that, and this is like this, and
Mm.
oh, okay, well, for me, Lorcana, the resources are like ink. So
Mm.
if it, in my head that's ink, I know what I'm doing, and these sorts of things, and you start making those connections. If you don't have that foundation and you don't have someone to teach it to you, that rule book is gibberish.
Yeah.
Makes absolutely no sense. So you either need someone who's willing to learn it and play it, which is easier said than done, or you have to really persevere or hope that you find a YouTube tutorial that makes sense. But even they, and we're all guilty of it, when we know it, we forget to explain it in a depth that makes sense to newcomers. Story of Star Wars, I'll add that in. Like, people
Yes.
forget they've got to treat me like an idiot because I don't know what I'm talking about. But the same with Star Wars, and I'm really hoping, because I do think it's an incredible game, and once someone teaches it to you, it's so easy to play and to start a foundation. Like
Mm.
you only need to learn a tiny bit to be able to figure out a lot, or
Yeah.
not figure out and just exist in what you're comfortable in. That I really hope this board game, in inverted commas, this intro to Hearth, will do that for them, because I think it needs to be played. That's what it needs. More than anything else, it
Yes.
needs to be played.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are adjusting it with the carbonite stuff to give the collectors a space,
Yes.
which is not as important, but it's pretty close. You need to have a collectability to it to really sort of keep it on the tip of people's tongues, and to kind of sponge a little bit of that Pokemon
Yeah,
sort of vibe. And I was really lucky. I didn't go to a pre-release for Sparkle Rebellion because I was like, I'm just gonna collect. That's what I want to do. And then opening up Sparkle Rebellion, I was like, right, okay, there's four different types of each card. What do I do here? Um, so I was kind of figuring it out on the fly. And in the end, I went, you know what? I want a pre-release box, and so I'm going to go to a pre-release event. And I contacted a store beforehand. I was like, look, can I come and film it while I do it? Because otherwise, I'm just going to pick it up and walk out. Like, you'll have my money. Like, I'll pay for it, no problem at all. And they were like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, totally fine. Obviously, just make sure you're just filming your match, or if you're filming a match, then make sure you get consent and all the rest of it. So I went, filmed just my box opening, and it was such an awesome group of people. And I think it was actually really key that a dad brought his son to the pre-release event,
brilliant.
and I was just sort of sat there, just like, I can learn this, like, and I lost every match. Um,
We
but
all do.
I had fun doing it,
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh, okay, so I'm learning the mechanics here, and I really want to play more, but I always end up just playing a pre-release, and I
yeah.
always I always sort of turn up and just go, everyone gets at least one win. Um, but the pre-release for Twilight, I went to because I was like, well, for different content, I'll go to different stores and things like that, and try out, see how it is. I turned up for the pre-release at Twilight, and they didn't have half of my pre-order because you were able to pick up your pre-order, and they were like, oh no, we'll post it to you. I was like, no, you will give me my money back, and I will go
Yeah,
somewhere else. And it was a really super clicky, quite an intense, like serious player place.
right.
And I
Yeah,
was just like, I'm clearly taking up someone's seat here and they're not happy. And I really didn't feel welcome, which was such a stark contrast to Shadows. And I then found I left it a little bit late for Jump to Lightspeed. And I was like, I need one near me. Um, someone on the Discord help. And this guy messaged me and said, we're doing this one here. It's about an hour away from me. And I was like, I can do an hour. That's no problem. Went over there, had a blast, had like the best fun I've ever had at a pre-release. And so I went back for Legends and had an even better time because I was actually starting to remember how to play the game.
amazing.
And like really good group of guys who are just like, oh no, you can't do that because of this. And I'm like, huh? Okay, okay, okay. These are my cards. What do I do? Sort of thing.
Yeah,
But they were just like, just and like I've learned how to build a deck and things like that. And if I haven't got enough cards to build the deck I want to build, I just stick some random colors in. I'm like, they're resource cards. Um,
yeah, that'll be fine.
yeah, it'll be fine. I'm not playing an aspect penalty for them. They just go down as resources. Um, but I've just had such a awesome time with this group of people and sort of had a chat with the owner of the store and stuff like that. It's a local game store as well. So the one near me is hit and miss, depending
Yeah.
on who you speak to. They're much more of a comic store. They have some trading card stuff. They don't. They only run Pokemon pre-release, and I'm like, are you looking at Star Wars? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'll end up going an hour away, which is fine. Gives me a chance to listen to some book. Um, everywhere I go, I'm like, how can I fit Star Wars in here? Uh, I know it's going to be really dangerous for me to do if I get into the Star Wars miniatures, like Shatterpoint, like Legion, like I'm on, because that's that's a can of worms that I will open when my kids are older. Because
And
I
a
just
good one to do with them. They'll love it.
potentially, I need them to be a little bit older to not knock things over.
Yeah. I live so my one of my best friends, he's got three kids and they're all of different ages. And that's how I sort of judge what the right age to introduce different stuff to is because I see them and I'm like, can you handle it? Good. Okay, at that stage you can, that stage you can't. Good. The middle kid should be good by now.
Yeah,
Um, and I do it all that way. But it was the older kid is now 11, I think, and he started secondary school, so it must be 11. And they'd got a Warhammer club, and they were just
Oh,
putting together
amazing.
miniatures. And then he sort of said to me, he was like, "Do you have any Star Wars miniatures?" I was like, "Oh my bear,
Yeah.
yeah, I do." And we didn't do anything with it, which is
Yes.
a shame. And he moved on to like other interests and such. But I was a bit like, I love that. That's a good touch point age for
Mm.
me now. I'm like, right, secondary school, we can start looking at this. I mean, I don't know. I talk about I find the miniatures fascinating. I think they're incredible. And they always felt very unapproachable for me for sort of the same reason you mentioned, like going to an unfriendly store.
Mm.
The difference that has on your experience, if that had been your only experience and you were sort of like, oh, I don't know if I want to play this, I'll maybe go and give it a try. And then you feel that outsider
Mm.
moment, you don't try again.
No.
And I did it with miniatures with Warhammer. I'd gone into a Warhammer shop, they wouldn't talk to me. I'd come out of that several years later, and I kind of just went, okay, not for me then. And
Mm.
then several years later, I went into what was at the time the only local game store because the explosion of game stores over the last 7 years, I'd say, since I've like really noticing, incredible. But 5, 7 years ago, whatever timeline it was, there was one local, and that local I went in. I was all willing to talk to them, and I was in a position where at that time I was working for a gaming magazine. I could talk to them and I could do all sorts. I could do interviews, I could put them in the magazine, I could do all these things, and I was really excited. And all I wanted to do was talk about games. And they wouldn't talk to me. They did everything they could to go out of their way to avoid me, to the point I even kind of went, "Excuse me," and they went, "I'm busy, love." And I was like, "Oh, good.
Mm.
Okay." So I carried on ambling round, and my husband joined me and was like, "Did you manage to talk to them?" And I was like, "No." And as we start walking out, they then come up and start talking to my husband. And there was nothing less welcoming than these sort of interactions, but you remember them. And that's
Mm.
the problem. Because now I am perfectly happy to go into game stores because the majority of them are your first experience and not your second. Most of them are welcoming. Most of them are, they want you to come and play, and they're there because they want to play. They're not there because they're going to make millions. They're there because they want to play games and they think other people should play games and they want to do more.
And they're
And
passionate
that's
about it.
99.9% of my experience. And I
Mm.
love that. But I still remember going into that games workshop. And so I didn't touch miniatures. And I still remember how I felt when I went into that local game store. So I don't put myself out there to go to events because I'm too worried about who I
Mm.
might encounter if that's what's going to happen, which is mental. And it is, there's an overcoming thing. I mean, I even found Star Wars impenetrable for a very long time. YouTube still feels like that world of Star Wars that
Yeah.
isn't safe for me to go to yet.
Yeah.
But being able to come in at different angles and go, okay, well, I'm going to come in through TikTok. Or do you know what? Shatterpoint, I've got the core box. I might never play it. I've never played it. I know loads about how to play it. I know loads about the theory behind it. I love that. I might just build the miniatures and go, that's enough for me.
Mm.
And that's okay. I'm more than happy with that. The same with Star Wars Unlimited. I don't play enough Star Wars Unlimited. I would love to, but 50 miles either direction for the local store. Like,
A
I
long way.
can't, yeah, it's, and I'm a parent. I can't just up and disappear. If I could, that would be great. But I've got a young one to live to figure out what's going on, and then I'm knackered. So
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. It's not just the fact that I can't get out of the house; it's that I'm tired when I do, and the I want to play more, but I'm not playing enough to be a player, and I'm not collecting enough to be a collector. And I kept being like, well, I'm not anything, and that's why those boxes. That's why I have so many boxes of Star Wars Unlimited that I haven't opened because I
Mm.
buy them because I'd be like, I want to do more, and then I'd be like, well, I can't do it properly, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And now I'm coming round. I've got a lot of confidence back after a lot of changes, and now I'm a bit like, oh, that's okay. It doesn't really matter. I enjoy opening them. I like looking at the cards. I like learning about them, and
Pretty
that's
shiny
enough.
cards.
Yeah, and that's all it needs to be. If I can open up a card and be like, oh my God, there's a porg,
Yeah.
that's all I need in life.
Yeah. That is, and before we came on the call, I just pulled down like a whole load of mine uh,
Nice.
that are like my serialized card, my serialized Yoda,
Oh, amazing. I don't have
which
any serialized cards. It's
oh,
because I'm too cheap to buy the Carbonite pack.
yeah, I do it for content, which hopefully someday will pay me back, but it hasn't yet. Um,
I've started doing that. I keep being like, well, when this pays me back for doing this, I justified in buying 4 boxes of
yeah,
XYZ or the
yeah.
star thing for Shatterpoint.
I've got
Fine.
couple of
Oh, that's
showcases. There's
cool.
Third Sister and Rio Durant.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I was like, cool, a showcase. Let me check and see if it's valuable because I might move it on. And even like brand new out of the box, it was like 30 quid. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to sell it for that. So I'm just going to keep it. Um,
Yeah.
but
You don't
yeah,
get the show. Well, I remember collecting celebrations for the Charizard, and the Charizard was 175 quid. So I pulled in the end, I think I pulled four Charizards because I was opening just so many packs. And every single time I kept two, but I'd sell one,
yeah,
buy more packs.
yeah.
Sell one, buy more packs.
And that's that's how it gets me. Is I'm like, yeah, I'll sell it back. I can probably just about break even on some of this stuff. And then I'm just like, no, I can buy more packs with this money.
I do think sometimes I see quite I obviously try and almost like curate my TikTok into more Star Wars related content. So I will
Mm.
never ever scroll past the Star Wars Unlimited. That's how you get me. I will watch every single one of them. And I see quite a lot of them that do the very Pokemon thing of my pack cost me this, and this
Yeah,
card is worth 3p and 10p and 5p and all this. And I'm like, the thing is that's not what this game is.
no.
This is either you're getting cards to play them or to find the characters that you like.
Mm.
It's not, this is not a money-making scheme game. It might be in future,
Yeah,
but it's a baby right now.
yeah.
Like you can say what you want about Pokemon. Pokemon's been around for what are we on, 30 years?
30th anniversary next year. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So we're on 30 years. Star Wars Unlimited has been what, a year and a
Two.
half? Yeah.
Well, when the Secrets of Power comes out, that'll be set six, and so we will have had 2 years worth of Star Wars
Yeah,
Unlimited. But actual release time, it was March last year. So yeah, 18 months.
yeah. So it's nothing. In the world of trading cards, they're not going to be worth the money. And I kind of there is a tiny part of me that wants to comment sometimes and just be like, but you're having fun.
Aren't you? But that's part of my, like, people will do what they want to do, and that's totally fine. But yeah, those I'm like very much similar view of, it's not Pokemon. It's brand new, and you are going to have some chase cards which are expensive. They're expensive because they're playable. So like your Jedi Knight Luke, your Darth Vader, Boba Fett, your Boba Fett leader until he got banned. I think it's the only showcase which ever hit a grand in terms of value, but it decimated everything in those first three sets and was just unplayable. And the showcase of it was obviously incredibly rare. But yeah, it's not. It's very much. I'm collecting it because I like the cards. I do. I just get them down every now. I just flick through them,
Yeah.
and it's my kind of de-stress. If I've had a busy week or a busy day or a bad day, I will just come and sort through cards,
Yes. Yeah,
and it's
there's nothing like
so
it.
therapeutic. And sleeving them as well. Some days I look at it and go, "Oh, I've got to sleeve 200 cards." Other days I'll be like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
gonna have me some
I
sleeve time."
I swear by it. I like whatever I'm like, my brain's really bad and I need a disconnect. I need to be doing something. I think it's the like mechanical action of what you're doing. You haven't got to think about what you're doing, but
It's
by the end of it,
repetitive.
you've done something
Mm,
and you have that achievement of, oh, well, I ticked a job off and I did something that makes them look nice and they feel even nicer now. And now I
yeah,
know they're looked after and I feel quite like that I've achieved that. And it's a minor achievement, but it's an important one. And
yeah,
then you have them and you have them to look at and you have them to look after and you have them to show other people if you can find someone that won't be too bored by the fact you're like, look at my cards.
yeah. Look at my shiny bits of cardboard. Aren't they wonderful? Um, I've put them in two separate sleeves to keep everyone pristine.
This is a penny sleeve and this is a top loader.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
explain to you the difference.
And I then got a top loader binder to keep multiple of them.
Could put them in a slab, but I decided not to. Just saying.
Yeah, I put my first showcase in a slab with PSA mainly because it was my first slab, my first showcase. I was like, I want to preserve this. I haven't done the last couple of sets because I haven't been to a card show to send them off yet, but I'm grading each of the pre-release promos you get to the leaders.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
So
shout. It's my one of my like because I've set in my head goals for TikTok and things that I want to achieve and things that I want to do. And part of that, it's not, I'm not doing it for like monetization or anything like that. But
No.
if I set myself goals, I have a drive towards something and then I go, yay, I've done it. Um, but one of the things is that if I do manage to make any money from it in any means, my reward to myself for doing that and my like, you made it, you did it thing is that I got the when they very first were doing the Spark of Rebellion, like when they were very first launching, if you went to an event and you played a game, they'd give you a Vader and Luke event exclusive.
Mm.
And they're identical cards, and they're absolutely no different to the other ones that you get, but they have a tiny little stamp on that says event exclusive.
Yeah.
And I want to get those graded. And it's not for the grading sense. They're not going to be a 10. I don't care. They don't mean anything like that. But for me, they're just like, and that is a point that I know something started,
Yeah.
and I like that, and I want
It's
them
a
there.
memory. It's a
Yes,
reminder.
yes.
And yeah, so my Twilight leaders, was it Twilight? No, it was Shadows. It was Moff Gideon and the Mandalorian. Fairly sure they both came back as a 10.
Oh,
And I was just like,
nice.
ooh, wasn't expecting that. I then had, I think my Luke and my Vader from Spark, they were both nines, and I had Grievous or Ahsoka. One was a 10, one was a 9.
Nice.
But I was just like, yeah, I see why people do it. It's a little bit addicting. You're like, what am I going to get?
Who
Um,
do you get them graded through? Who's your grader of choice?
so I went PSA.
Oh, you do the fancy.
Yeah, but I do it through Sub Center. So just because
Yeah,
it's a pain to send it to America.
yeah.
Um, and they do it regularly and they will package it all up properly and stuff. Although I will probably continue the leaders with PSA just because I started.
hmm
But if I want to get any other cards, I would probably send it to Ace because
They're
they do the
what I'm
banners.
wondering about. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was chatting about it on one of the streams that I was doing that they get the person I was talking to gets their cards graded and they use Ace. And I was a bit like, the only thing I know about Ace really was I knew when they had their big break-in, which
yeah,
is a really unfortunate thing. And that doesn't that for me doesn't change any legitimacy. I'm not like, oh, well, they're really unreliable, blah blah blah. But I was like, but that's all I know. I know about PSA and Beckett's and all of these ones because they're the ones that have been around forever. So, or CD, yeah, them. They've been around forever, so I know them. I don't really know the new ones. And I know I've seen a lot come up and then disappear and get slated for non-specific grading purposes. And these aren't as legit as these ones. But Ace grade, there's a lot of good vibes around ace grading, and I'm
yeah.
quite tempted with some of my showcase kit Fisto. I don't know where he is now. He's disappeared somewhere into the chaos of this room. But he was my first good pull, like properly
Mm.
good pull. And I was like, hey, that would be quite cool. Yeah, so I might do him through Ace if anything ever comes out of TikTok, just so that he's looked after that or the Dooku, because I've got a soft spot for the Dooku promo that I've got.
Oh, the Dooku promo.
I'm sure it was Dooku. Is it not Dooku?
What's it a
I'm
promo
more
for?
willing to believe that I'm wrong
What's it a
than I
promo for?
am that. Okay, we think. It was one of the like if you went to an event, you'd
Oh, is
get
it
one of
a
those.
black one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dooku is one of the promos that were released for that.
Yeah, because it was a oh God, I'm running over cards with my chair. That's terrifying. Um, when I say chaos, I mean it. It was a really cool event that I went to, and they had the guy who plays Draven
Okay.
there doing cards, and there was a massive Dooku behind him in like this just the POS. There's just loads of like banners everywhere of like really big splashy art pieces, really beautiful. And he turned around and he was like, "That's my wife's uncle." I was like, "What?" It turns out there's two families in the actual Star Wars, but also there's only two families in the movies too. Oh, and I've got a signed Grogu I should probably get.
I've started putting together a Yoda folder. So every card that has Yoda or Yaddle or Grogu on it, I'm
Oh,
gonna try and get
why have I not seen this on your TikTok?
because I haven't filmed it yet.
Oh, you gotta.
Because I'm really bad at uploading and I keep forgetting to upload. Basically working my way through. So I also have the event exclusive Grogu.
Amazing.
I actually did a trade with someone for that in America, so that's an American event exclusive.
Oh, have you seen the convention exclusives? The really beautiful ones. The ones that you buy at conventions rather than you
Oh,
get at
the droid
conventions.
pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've announced they're going to sell them at Essen.
Mm,
And I didn't buy them. I do the gaming circuit ones, that's where I know them from. So I didn't do it at UK Games Expo because at the time I was employed working on board games and I was
mm.
like, I'm not allowed to show bias, so couldn't didn't really want to buy it because then that's you know what I mean. Like if I'm
Yeah.
investing in a certain brand, then it's an issue, which is why coming out of it has meant I've been able to go, ha, Star Wars time.
I love
Um,
it.
I didn't buy it then, and I wish I'd just gone stuff it and bought them
Mm.
because they've announced they're at Essen, and Essen is end of October. And I'm not going to go to Essen. That's too far away for me. Thank you very much. And also, I've got stuff on that weekend. It's not happening.
Yeah.
But because I know and love dearly so many people in the board game industry, I think I could probably ask someone to get them for me. I just don't have the money to buy them.
This is the
How do I make
um
my Star Wars get me more Star Wars?
yeah, because that's, let's face it, that's the end goal for all of us, isn't it? My Star Wars needs to get me more Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, thank you so much for joining me. Before I let you go and get some rest, as a parent, I fully sympathise with your situation. Where can the people find you, and how can they see your content?
So my preferred place is TikTok, where I am at the Charlie side, because it's a very clever pun on the dark side. I know, right, guys? You never saw it coming. But I am the same handle across now Instagram and YouTube, where I'm just starting to cross post. So you can find me where you are, but TikTok is, I think, TikTok community. There's nothing like it. So that's where I'm at.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much. I will put your links in the show description as well for everyone. And I would love to have you back on the show if there's when the next set comes out or the set after, or if there's a particular board game coming out. I would love to get you back on and just chat some more Star Wars with you. It's been an absolute blast. It's been an absolute pleasure. And so that's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Universe podcast. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to follow in all the usual places. Everything's in the show notes. And until next time, may the force be with you.